General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces reports on September 8, 267,540 Russian personnel have already been eliminated. The Ukrainian Armed Forces destroyed 4,529 Russian tanks, 8,726 armored personnel carrier, 5,753 artillery systems, and 754 MLRS. In total, 507 Russian anti-aircraft warfare systems were destroyed, 315 aircraft and 316 helicopters were shot down. Also by Ukrainian Armed Forces was destroyed 8,264 vehicles and fuel tanks and 860 special equipment. By Ukrainian Air Defense Forces, 1,455 cruise missiles and 4,570 UAV were shot down. Also 90 Russian warships or boats were sunk. Support the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the comments, subscribe to our channel and like this video for the Ukrainian people who are fighting for their freedom. The Russian occupiers are preparing for a new wave of offensive on Kupiansk. For this purpose, the Russian army is already preparing a striking feast of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. This was reported by the head of the press service of the Eastern Military Group, Ilya Yevlash. He noted that the Russians have not yet changed the tactics of fighting and assaults in the Kupiansk area. At the same time, the Russian occupiers are rotating troops near Liman, replacing them with units of the 25th Army, which were formed and deployed from Russia. The Ukrainian army has success near Opetne and approached Donetsk airport. Soldiers of the 59th Mechanized Brigade are conducting successful assault operations. Over the past few days, approximately 2.4 square kilometers have been liberated by the Ukrainian army. HIMARS, the most powerful precision weapon, destroys 5 Russian Buk missile systems within 10 minutes in Zaporizhia area. Russians cannot do anything with these weapons and cannot save its equipment. This is footage of Russian troops leaving Klishchiivka under the fire of the Ukrainian artillery, but unfortunately these troops may be replaced by a new one to counterattack. Stabilization measures by Ukrainian army are underway. And this is photo of destroyed mobile coastal radar Predel-E, worth about $200 million in Zalizny port. This radar entered to Russian service in this year. It had been on combat duty for just a week and then was hit by a missile. At this time, the Ukrainian army continues to expand place of arms near Robotine in Tokmak area. The Ukrainian artillery is mercilessly bombing the Russian occupiers near Verbove. Soldiers from the front line report that this village will definitely be taken. Also, the Ukrainian armed forces stormed Novoprokopivka and managed to take back positions from the Russians that will help Ukrainians repel the occupiers' counterattacks. At these positions, Ukrainian army army are deploying a place of arms from which they have taken fire control of the second line of Russian defense. The Russian occupiers are preparing to retreat in Tokmak and have already started looting business in the city. Also, the Ukrainian armed forces began to attack a key village Kermenchik in Berdyansk area, where many Russian troops are concentrated. This is a key point of Russian defense on the dominant heights. And near Verbovo in Tokmak area, Ukrainian army began to beat up newly arrived paratroopers. Vuhledar area can play a dirty trick on the Russians. If Ukrainian army start cutting off Russian forces retreating from Zaporizhia area towards Mariupol, some of these southern troops will be shot by Ukrainian soldiers like in shooting gallery. And this is how Secretary General of NATO Jens Stoltenberg gave a sharp response to critics of the Ukrainian counteroffensive.
Starting point is that the Russian army used to be the second strongest in the world, and now the Russian army is the second strongest in Ukraine. And that's quite impressive. That's the courage, the will, the commitment, the determination of the Ukrainian soldiers that are making this possible. And we also need to remember the starting point. And starting point was that when the invasion happened, the full-scale invasion happened in February, we were told by most experts that Kiev would fall within days and Ukraine would fall within weeks. The Ukrainians proved them wrong by pushing back the Russian invaders, liberating the north around Kiev, the east around Kharkiv, and then bigger territories in the south and around Kherson. And now they are gaining more ground, liberating more Ukrainian territory. And then the same experts that told us that Ukraine will fall within weeks are complaining about the speed of the offensive. The reality is that the Ukrainians are actually exceeding expectation again and again. And we need to remember what's our responsibility. Our responsibility is to support them. We can advise them, but it has to be the Ukrainian commanders, the soldiers on the ground, that make the difficult decisions. We cannot sit here in Brussels, in the NATO headquarters, on the EU headquarters, and tell them exactly how to fight. That's their task, they're risking their lives, and we just support them. And we praise them for the courage.
This is how Ukraine continues to fight for its future and for its freedom. Please do not stand aside. Support Ukraine. Like this video and subscribe this channel.